About house rental allowance. We are at the cusp of filing our income tax returns. The last date is upon us. So we decided that we want to put this in focus. So as we take a small break, I'm leaving you with what you need to know about HRA, about house rental allowance, how it's one of the most important allowances that are offered to salaried individuals, and that is present in a salary slip. If you're a salaried individual, you live in a rented house, you can claim HRA to lower your tax. So how should you go about claiming exemption under HRA while you're filing your tax returns? That's what I'll leave you with as we take this small break. Much more coming up in a moment.
Have you ever seen your salary slip closely? Well, if yes, then whether you are a financially savvy person or not, you would know that you can claim tax exemption for this amount while filing your income tax returns. But is the complete amount exempted from tax? Can you avail exemption if you live with your parents and not alone? What happens if you're not a salaried individual? Does your expense towards living in a house get accounted for while filing ITR? All these questions can make something as easy as HRA also seem too tedious. But well, let's simplify it for you. Let's look at how you can claim HRA benefits while filing returns. As a salaried individual, you can claim your HRA exemption while submitting your investment declaration to your employer. And if you failed to do so, then chances are that your employer would have deducted TDS from the HRA component of your salary. But worry not, because in such cases, you can claim the HRA exemption while filing returns. The tax-exempt HRA will be the lower of 50% or 40% if you live in a non-metro city of your basic salary plus dearness allowance, if any, or the actual HRA or the actual rent paid minus 10% of your basic salary and the dearness allowance. And you will not have to submit any documents, but you should preserve the rent receipts and the rent agreement in any case. But what should you do if you're not actually living in a rented apartment and are rather living with your parents? Well, there is no bar on paying rent to your parents if you're living in their house and availing of HRA tax exemption. However, the rent you pay will be treated as your parents' income. So make sure that you compute the tax impact of your parents before you take this call, because landlord's PAN is to be provided as well. And the rent paid will reflect in your parents' AIS, which is annual information statement. So effectively, you might only end up shifting the income tax burden to your parents. Okay, so now what about those who don't fall in the category of salaried individuals and don't have any HRA? Well, the good news is that you still are entitled to the tax break. You won't be eligible for the HRA exemption, but you will be entitled to relief under Section 80GG. You can claim a deduction of up to Rs 5,000 a month, 25% of your total income, or actual rent paid minus 10% of your total income, whichever is lower. However, you will not qualify for this concession if your spouse, minor child, or Hindu undivided family, in case you are part of one, owns a house in the place where you actually stay. So I hope this was helpful for you and give you better clarity on how you can save your taxes. But make sure that you keep all the supporting documents in place, because otherwise we won't be able to help you much and you might get notices from the IT department to seek further clearance.